Our audit approach is multifaceted. We're looking in the back end. We're looking at whether you're offering a private API or a RETS update, because we want to make sure that metadata is reflective of the rules within the back end. We get all the rules down. So from manual testing to actually pulling that metadata to executing the API or the RETS update, we cross-reference everything along with the policy, and we make sure there is consistency.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm your host, Matt Fagioli, here with Executive Director Matt Fowler and our special guest, Hayden Rieveschl. How'd I do with that? Good, bad?
Very good.
Good enough? All right, cool. Good. You guys know Matt. He's going to run this conversation about some very cool new technology. And our special guest, Hayden, is going to fill in some really cool details about how this is all going to work in real estate, how it is working in real estate. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Fowler.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for coming out today, Hayden, and thanks for joining us, everybody. We make these podcasts for the 14,000 plus Triangle subscribers. As we record this at the end of March, we've got March numbers have just come in, and we're within 1%, inside of 1% of hitting a member record at Triangle. So there's a record number of Triangle's MLS subscribers out there looking forward to a busy spring and summer market. We went through an enormous project, Triangle, that you guys all remember, I know very well, when we translated our database to the new national standards and we launched our choice program in November, which now gives you access to all three of the top MLS platforms in the country. And it let us be open to stuff like Hayden is going to tell us about today. We go to a lot of industry meetings and to people a lot. We met Hayden and Hayden's folks. Gosh, it's maybe a year and a half or so ago now, maybe two. Yeah, it's been a while. And they do several things in the tech space. I'm working with some really big MLSs across the country. I'll probably ask you that question first, Hayden. Just kind of tell us where you guys are and what you do, maybe for some high profile ones that my people might know about. The point of our talk today, so you'll know what you're going to get if you stay through the end, is hopefully a way to take some of the stuff that Hayden's working on that might actually be available to Triangle subscribers sooner than later, that takes the promise of artificial intelligence and machine learning and some of these geeky things that you've been hearing into the forms that you use every day, things that actually are going to make you able to be more productive and more responsive to your customers in this summer market. So Hayden, where are you guys working right now out in the real world?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two offerings, right? So we have our business rules and process audit, which I know you're very familiar with. That's kind of what I think we started the conversation with as you were transitioning to Triangle, as well as our listing software. So it's AI-driven listing software. So currently we operate in Georgia and FMLS. And then the audit side of our business, I mean, we work with dozens and dozens of MLSs all over the country, small and large. I mean, from RE, Colorado to Baldwin County down in Alabama, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we are working with implementing some very large markets right now. Can't say who, but they are some of our audit clients, if you can read between the lines.
Yeah, let's talk about that audit just for a second. And we've got the other product is this image-based or rules-based ad listing platform that we want to, or workflow that we want to talk about. But the rules audit is really interesting, I think. And for real estate brokers and realtors out there in the world, a lot of you work in more than one market. You might have a membership in regional, you might have a membership over in Triad or somewhere else, Canopy. And we're talking all the time about how to cooperate, about how to streamline the back end of the data. If you have an office in maybe all four of those places, you have to enter the listing 4 times. You have to download the data 4 times. The hard part is normalizing it into something that, will fit onto your website so people can search once and get all the answers instead of, in the old days, some people had 4 buttons to search 4 different MLSs, and that's a horrible user experience. So we're in that position right now where we're surrounded by these MLSs, and people would like us to be able to data share with Triad or regional. Those two were the number 1 and number 2 things that my subscribers voted for in the strategic plan this year, that you want to be able to share data with these people. And we're working on that. But when we sit down and talk about it, we don't know how our data actually lines up. So are our rules very different than their rules? And you can sit and read them. That's one, go through and compare them. And you can actually also look at the data and see what the result of the rules actually have created in the actual compilation, the list of houses. Maybe tell us a little bit about how your process works to evaluate the rules, and then maybe how you would use that to compare to another one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so it's really a multifaceted approach, because I'm going to go back to kind of the beginning. What we learned, we built our product with brokerages in Cincinnati. As we were preparing to launch in Cincinnati, we realized that, they hadn't documented their rules. They were all essentially in the back end of Rapatoni in a proprietary language. And once we extrapolated those rules and put them into structured English, we realized there were a lot of inconsistencies between the rules that were being executed in the system and current policy, right? It didn't line up. So it's very important to us, because we embed the rules of an MLS within our system. And actually, we built technology around that. So we have a proprietary rules engine that dynamically executes rules regardless of how many MLSs that you're listing in. So our audit approach is multifaceted. So yes, we're looking in the back end. We're looking at, whether you're offering a private API or RETS update, because we want to make sure that metadata is reflective of the rules within the back end, right? So we will pour through all of that, a lot of which the rules engine will automate for us. And it can spit out a number of different languages like RCP 019, as well as Gherkin, which is more human readable. We have an entire audit team. So once we get all the rules down, so from manual testing to actually pulling that metadata to executing the API or the RETS update, we cross-reference everything along with the policy, and we make sure there is consistency. Anytime we find inconsistencies, we flag that, right? So from validations to dependencies to workflow rules, all of that is documented, right? And in the case of FMLS in Georgia, right? So we're deploying in 2 markets. So we have to fully understand what we're dealing with, right?
Yeah. Let me pause there for a second to explain what you just said. So the other product we're going to talk about in just a minute is like an input form. Yep. And when you fill out the input form, the very end of it, it's got 2 logos. It's got FMLS and Georgia MLS. And those are the 2 MLSs that kind of operate in the Atlanta market. And it's like the Hatfields and the McCoys down there, man. They don't cooperate. They don't like each other. And if you're not going to data share, and if you want your listing in both of them, then you join both and you type it in. And what you've done is you've let them fill out this input form. And at the very last, when it says, okay, where you want to put this, it's got both of those logos, and you check both of them and you push the go button and magic happens. But it pushes the required fields plus what you put in, plus your media into the receiving MLS using their automated technology, the APIs that are in place, which we're going to also talk about in just a second. So that's so what you're doing is comparing the written rules to the result of those rules in the actual data set, and and finding inconsistencies. I know the CEO of Atlanta and I talked about this, and you guys uncovered a remarkable number of inconsistencies. And like that was a momentary gut check moment, no doubt, for the administrator who no doubt thought his rules were being administered in a consistent way, and it turns out that wasn't.
And that's what most people think, that we're good, our rules are intact, they're 100% correct. You'd be really surprised at what we find. It's anywhere from 20 to 25%. Yeah.
Okay. So the number one thing on our strategic objective list, and we're diligent about talking to our stakeholders and doing surveys and reorienting, in a proper agile fashion. The number one thing is the accuracy and completeness of the data. And the word consistency and transparency is in our mission statement. So we believe in these things, and it's our intention to make sure that our data reflects that level of commitment. We've doubled the size of our data integrity department. We use artificial intelligence tools to find errata in the system and fine people. We send out more than $10,000 in fines a month. Not because we like doing that. We would love it to be zero, because that means the data is accurate, and that's the objective. So while we haven't finished designing our project together with Ocusell, we like the project a lot. And let's for the members, who who are now heard us talk about, investing in the accuracy and completeness of the data by looking at our rules. Last Wednesday, we made 83 new fields required in our data set. So we're on our way towards being RISO. We're already RISO compliant. We hope to be the first MLS that is certified on 2.0, which is the very, very latest. We're at 1.7 right now. I want the subscribers to know that this is stuff that we think about every day, about the data and about hitting these new milestones that prove to our subscribers and to the world that our data is among the deepest and cleanest available in the world. Our objective is to be the best MLS in the country. And to do that, I feel like we really need to know how our written rules, are reflected in the actual rules. And then before we move on to the ad listing form, tell us about how this is useful. If we were to say, go out to an adjacent MLS and say, let's swap. I'll give you my data, you give me your data, like we've done with our friends in Longleaf Pine. We have an active data share that does that. How would this help us in that conversation with the next MLS?
Well, I mean, it's essential if you're going to do this without major cost overruns, well, and just to deliver this in a timely manner. I mean, a business rules audit is critical because essentially what we'll do after we take that multifaceted approach with both organizations, we can tell you exactly where you're the same and where you're different. And then you can remediate, right, those rules.
Well, and I know we're going to.
It's very complex, but
I know we're going to switch gears and talk about the ad edit tool, which is going to kind of land it for members. Like, what does this all mean? But in terms of expansion or partnership with their other MLSs, that's where we're getting down to. That's what the rules audit does, is allows you to have that easy button effect that you have in Atlanta now, where you hit the button and it actually works in both MLSs. And so imagine, if you're listening to this, if you had 5 MLSs, or even if you just wanted it to go and be published in a beach market or 10 beach markets all at once, like that's where this thing is going, right? And that's what all the rules audit stuff does.
Yeah. This is a technical solution to something that many people may have been trying to solve with a governance solution. Like you have to merge, you have to close one and move everything to the other one. Those are administrative or governance solutions. Maybe in some instances it makes sense, for mergers and acquisitions to take place. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about on any level here, though. This is strictly a technical solution, like an overlay that sits on top of both of these systems. Neither system has to change anything, rules, membership, etc. You're just saying, instead of typing the thing in twice and dealing with this intense form, that's not intuitive, yours is very different. But closing out the rules audit, it lets me as the administrator go over to an adjacent market, as we were talking about wherever we were, Hayden, and say, look, here's my audit. Here's my rules and how it matches and how it aligns to the national rules that we all follow. And I can kind of give you some comfort that, we believe in the things that you believe, and we want to keep our data clean. So it's a way. Yeah, it's a way of kind of saying who we are based on where our values are with our rules. And if they haven't done that, Triangle would subsidize or fund a prospective partner who wanted to go through a process like this with us. Because at the end of the day, if nothing happens, at least we'll know what the gap is to real cooperation. I think our broker customers who have offices in all of these markets and would love one feed from us, I think we owe it to them to go through and do this work. As the universe evolves, there's more sharing, not less. And I think this is just, like you said, it's a required part of doing the work.
Absolutely.
So maybe let's pull back and talk about the workflow. Okay, so right now, when you load a listing into the Triangle system, we use the Triangle listing management workflow, which we had FBS build for us. There's a lot of confusion. FBS isn't Flex. FBS is the company. Flex MLS is the MLS software that they make. FBS, the company, was hired by Triangle to build the Triangle listing management system, which is also not Flex. It's the Triangle listing management system. It's a button on the dashboard that takes you to a form that asks you if you want to edit or enter a listing. And it really just does that. It's not search. It's not anything. It's just add, edit. That is going to be an app sometime in 2024. where you'll take the Triangle listing management app off the iOS or Android app stores, put it on your phone. And when you're sitting in a listing, your new one, once the contract is signed, you click start new listing. It knows where you are. It reads the address from public records. It autofills a portion of the form and lets you start a draft. So what we're imagining here, Hayden, and we just like this is software we're evaluating. We're still in like the discovery phase. But with you guys, we're far enough along the discovery phase so that we actually brought you into a demo to show our stakeholder council what the thing looks like just recently. And it was very well received. Again, we haven't completed our project definition with you guys yet, but the stakeholder council really loved it. And if you look at if you compare the input, just user experience, that you guys have versus the listing management system that we had built. The reason for the listing management system was because it's RESO now 2.0, and we needed to start capturing data in that way. And but it isn't the most maybe modern user experience. The app is going to look nice and mobile, but we imagine in the Triangle dashboard that the Triangle listing management app would stay for people who are using that today. But the proposal is that we would add one, and it would be called something else, listing management. And when you click that, it would be the one that gave you the ability to put it into more than one MLS platform. It would be the one that had functionality we're going to talk about that's in that application that uses, the new tools to both generate things and to use tags in the images to fill out the forms. So the workflow that we're imagining is you go to the dashboard. If you're a member of maybe Regional and Triangle, and you've got a listing you want to put into both, you would click, maybe we'd call it Regional Listing Management. And you click that thing and you go through a process and tell us what happens next. Like you click that thing and you go to add listing, you identify the address, or what's first?
Yeah, you identify the address, at which point Ocusell takes over. So our proprietary language model, generative AI, takes over at that point. And it essentially scours 30 plus core databases, and it pulls out the most relevant information on that property. That will autofill the listing anywhere between 70 to 90%.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, let's just stop right there for 1 second. So your model goes out and looks at 30 to however many you said authoritative databases. And from the questions that we had from our stakeholders, that specifically does not include old listings.
Correct.
Right? So that's not authoritative. This is just what the previous listing agent said. By authoritative, you mean like government and people that would know. Right. Okay. Yep. So you go out and you look at those things and you come back and you filled out this thing like mostly.
Oh yeah. 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 I mean, right now on average, we're getting about 80%.
Yep. But just from picking the address.
Just from picking the address.
Okay.
Right. And then the remainder of that is filled out. You're then prompted to upload your imagery and your videos. Yeah. Right. Once that's uploaded, essentially the remainder of that listing is almost entirely filled out, including the public remarks. And it's a very eloquent description of the home, and it is unique, right, on a property by property basis. Not there's no one description that will be the same. Our brokers in Atlanta just comment on this all the time. They're like, the variety is incredible, right? And it's so well written. And we're working on the only field that we don't auto-populate right now are directions, and we're working on that.
Interesting. I saw this demo yesterday, Matt. I was like super negative for a while on the public remarks. Okay. So like I get that you fill out all the stuff that you can find online, I could accept that that's going to be more accurate, okay, than what we might get from cloning an old listing or doing the research yourself on some city website, right? The AI thing, the computers aren't great at everything, but they're good at that. Right, of going and pulling that and putting that into the system. But the public remarks seem to me like one of the only opportunities that the agent has, Matt, to actually be creative, and write, something from their heart about what they felt when they came into that place. I don't know if you've read the viral Amazon reviews, if you've ever done that. You know what I'm talking about?
A little bit, yeah.
But there are people that, are creative writers and can't get published to use this space to write some crazy story. There's a great one about the 3 wolf t-shirt. You should go read that if you don't know what I'm talking about. The
I
Three
don't.
Wolf Moon shirt. Yeah. So it's amazing. Like somebody wrote, that it changed their life, and they have a new relationship now because they got this very manly t-shirt. So there's this opportunity there, but when you see it actually happen and what comes out of it, and it's very, very good. And I think a competent realtor would do a better job if they started with that than just starting with an empty page. It's good. I use it a lot to kind of point me in the right direction, when I'm thinking about writing, and it's almost never use it as it's written. I don't, but it definitely puts me in the right place. And, changing it up to make it more professional, more fun, or, it just takes it in directions that I wouldn't have. I use it as inspiration. And I think it's just such an enormous, like I said earlier, it's just an obvious use of this. So there was a couple of different things going on there. Your technology's got some layers to it. So you identify the address, you go pull what you need to know from 30, 40 authoritative databases, you fill out most of it. Then you upload the photos and the video. And we have an integration with Welcome Mat to handle the full motion video. We have terabytes of images, and we've been using AI company to tag what type of room the photo is of. It's kitchen, master bedroom,
And we do all of that as well. We actually didn't have time, I think, in yesterday's meeting, but all caption, short description, long description, image of, right? So we do all.
Right.
I will fills all of that out as well.
So that's in your photo like alt tags.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that's really cool because that helps with accessibility and a bunch of other rules. But it also lets you do things like show kitchens that look like this in a consumer interface, which is coming this summer from our new consumer website. So we're going to have those sorts of tags coming off the photos, but on the input form, you're taking those tags like it's, what you see in the photos and actually filling out the input form. I saw it happen yesterday, but tell me about how that works.
Yeah. I mean, so we work with REAI. They're an exclusive partner of ours, and it's computer vision, right? Coupled with they are pouring through and analyzing each and every photo, and it is extrapolating all of those details at a very high level.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of different people doing that, but they're pulling tags out. I know some of them have condition scores. So you can actually look at a collection of photos and derive an estimate of how well the property has been kept.
Absolutely.
And I've seen a few of those demos. Those are really useful for putting into an AVM, but also, really useful for just talking about marketing.
Yes.
Where is this property in relation to another? Do I price it where? We have a new pricing tool that shows you the percentile of your proposed price. Mm-hmm. Looking at those photos and the condition score, does that fit in the percentile that you're getting as a price? So that's really, I think, super useful, Matt, for somebody doing a CMA or talking to a seller about reality. That's just another tool.
Yep.
Well, I think this has been a meaty, heavy conversation, and guys, if you made it this far into this conversation, what I want us to land for you is that all of the changes that have happened in Triangle in the last year, and all of the work that's been done there, and all of the stuff that Hayden's company has done to integrate AI and all of this machine learning and databases, and all of that is coming together to create an environment for agents and brokers to hit an easy button and do things that took hours to do not as well. And then when you layer on top of that the idea that at some point you could hit that easy button and have that happen in 10 different MLSs all at the same time, it's monumental to think about. And so applause to you if you made it through that, very technical conversation to understand that if you're a member of Triangle MLS, you are now you're moving into a world where you're so far ahead of most others around the country in terms of what you're going to be able to do. And I just love celebrating that.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. This wouldn't really be possible. Maybe on our way out, Hayden, have you tried to do this in a market that wasn't RISO ready?
Oh, yes. We've done it in markets that RISO ready. Yeah.
Were you there during the Rapatoni outage?
Yes. Yes, we were. This is why we shifted our focus to Atlanta, Georgia, and FMLS. Yeah. Yep.
Well, I think I'm not sure that landed, but the point is that all of the data work, what RISO compliance, which people listening to this podcast and people who are members of Triangle have heard that now a million times just how incredibly essential that is and how exciting it is to start moving toward 2.0 and then what happens next, which we'll all be discussing at the conference at RESO coming up.
Yeah, in Birmingham. So this is for the Triangle subscribers. If we were to do something like have an alternative ad listing workflow, that's like back end of choice, sort of. So you're going to have two ways to manipulate listings in the system. And if one of them goes offline, we would have the ability to post data through an alternate source so that if there was an outage like the 6-week one that I was referring to, that life goes on, right? And what we're trying to do is build resilience into the platform. We did that with front end of choice. Now we're talking about being able to add listings into the system different ways. One of the reasons is that they're very different, but also that they're just more than one. If we only have one, then that's a single point of failure, and we go look for those in the platform. And this is one that remains. So we'd like to be more resilient than that. We'd be the one, like the only house in the neighborhood with the generator. We'd like to be the one that's still running when, if there's a problem. So that was a lot. Thanks for joining us today, everybody, and for Hayden for giving us all that time. I've bugged him twice in 2 days, so you may not hear from me for tomorrow at least.
It was my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Matt. And
really
Matt.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Matt.
guys. Welcome. Hope to see you back here on the Triangle Real Estate Podcast. See you later.